Okay, let's make a start. My name is Malcolm Gorge. I'm chairman of the Blythewood Planning Commission. Welcome to everybody attending here tonight and all those tuning in on YouTube. Mr. Wilson, could you start proceedings by calling the roll?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Malcolm Gorge.
Here.
Travis Smith.
Here.
Nikki Schaffner.
Here.
Marcus Taylor.
Here.
Ken Coleman. Jamal Mosley.
Here.
Bill Tomes.
Here.
Thank you. And could you confirm the agenda has been properly notified to the press and posted in accordance with state law?
Yes, sir, it has. And just a friendly reminder to all the commissioners to use the microphones, please, when you do speak. Thank you, as always.
So the next thing, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we should approve the minutes of our previous meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further comments? In which case, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes may be set into the record. Thank you. So let's move on to the action item. Mr. Steins, okay?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to set it up, please, for us? Maybe using the overheads to just run through the basics of what's being proposed to us this evening?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all tonight. I think we have a site plan. Kirk might be able to blow up at least somewhat decently here. Our applicant's here, and I think we got some hard copies. I think you got some of your packets as well. But essentially, we have a site plan approval for 104 single-family attached homes, which would be townhomes. This would be for 158 Langford Road. That's tax map number R15100-06-08. The property at 158 Langford Road is 12.55 acres and is zoned town center. The site plan proposes to construct 104 townhomes, which is a permitted use in the zone district. The design of the townhomes received a certificate of appropriateness from the town's Board of Architectural Review on January 17, 2023, which expired. As a result of that, we're bringing the whole process back through. So the applicant has resubmitted the project and received a second certificate of appropriateness from the Board of Architectural Review on October 21st of this year, 2024. In accordance with Section 153-121, the Planning Commission is required to review group developments, which includes townhome developments. Now, on September 5th of 2023, the Planning Commission received this same applicant and project, which received a 3-2 vote on the condition of meeting the requests of staff. At that time, staff requested that the plans be revised to show the location of bike racks, which has been shown. Parking calculations matching the number of spaces, which we verified. I'm not seeing on there where it was asked for the parking dimensions and aisle widths in accordance to Section 155-411 be shown. They are showing the parking surface material that was requested. They have identified the handicap spaces and aisles that was requested. They've identified that all streets and open spaces will be private. That was requested. Show the recommended traffic improvements in accordance with the traffic study. The traffic study was the hard part to send out because it's 200 and some pages. That traffic study was done, and we verified with that engineer that at the time there was no improvements to be needed, and at that time the Blythewood Farms development was being done, which triggered some improvements at the Langford and US 21. So the only recommendation from SCDOT was this to be a ride-in and ride-out only development on Langford. That is displayed on the site plan here. Everybody can argue traffic studies. They're not always everybody's favored opinions, but that is what's been listed, and that is what's shown. The other request was to show a minimum 50-foot buffer between the existing townhomes and the townhomes and existing residential. Not seeing that on the revised. Also, add landscaping for the parking areas in accordance to our landscaping ordinance. I'm not seeing where the parking areas are demonstrated with the required landscaping. And we had asked if there would be trash services for the area, and if so, the location and what the screening would be in accordance to section 155.384. This was also a request of the BAR. We're not seeing that on the site plan. We did ask for a tree survey that was provided. We asked to see all the locations of fire hydrants. Unless we're missing, we're not seeing those. And then in addition to those requests that were made last year when the project was approved, we have some that were demonstrated and some that we're not seeing, some that were not demonstrated as requested. In addition to those, I'm requesting that the 3-foot sidewalks be amended to a 5-foot sidewalk. I don't view any standard of a 3-foot sidewalk. And I would request that the walking trail, I think is proposed as either mulch, crushed brick, or STO. I'm just requesting it be dedicated as either a compacted screening or the crushed brick of some sort, and not the mulch. And also for notes to note that the HOA will, a maintenance plan for that trail, and then the HOA's requirements of that. And I'm also asking the street lamp type and the location be identified on the site plan. From a staff's review, those are the requests that we'd recommend, and also demonstrating what has yet to be shown that was requested from the last go around. So there is no recommendation for or against. I'll leave it up to the board to decide based on the information you got. The applicant is here for questions based on any that you may have. So I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I'm sure we'll have quite a few questions, a few or a couple right off the bat. The traffic study is dated June 29th, 2023. That's 18 months ago. Lots happened in that time. And if I read the narrative correctly, this was to be submitted to SCDOT, waiting on their comments. And do we know what those comments are? Have they been received? We should have that as part and parcel of this submission, in my opinion. But since the applicant is here, maybe we could ask him to come and respond to your comments and then any further questions from the commissioners.
Right. Mr. Raymond, you want to address the questions of Planning Commission?
Good evening. I'm Josh Rabin with Civil Engineering of Columbia, here on behalf of the applicant. As Mr. Stein said, this project was approved with a COA with the ARB in January of 2023, came before this body in September of 2023, and received approval at that time. At that point, we went into the design process, and we began working on our design drawings. And in May-ish of this year, we reached out to the town about if everything needed to be submitted to the town initially to be disseminated to the county and others for their review. And at that time, it was brought to our attention that the certificates of appropriateness were only good for 1 year until construction began. And so that's why we're having to go back through the process. The site plan you have before you in concept is exactly what was submitted previously, with the exception of, you'll notice that there's no stormwater detention shown on the revised plan from last year. And that is because during the design process, the grade break transitions between the proposed townhomes and the existing Blythewood farms proposed the need for some retaining walls in order to serve the stormwater on site within the townhomes. So we reached out and worked with the Blythewood Farms engineer and met with Richland County, who's the stormwater operator, and worked out to where they had room to expand their pond to take the stormwater flow from this development. So this development will actually tie into the Blythewood Farms storm drainage detention system and be served stormwater management with that system. Outside of that, I did bring some hard copies that do reflect some of the additional things Mr. Steins mentioned that was not on there due to the hydrants and the landscaping. Again, that's apologies. I thought that had been sent prior to. That's on us. I do have hard copies here if y'all would like to review them. The one thing that we would, again, large and part and parcel to the grade transitions, as well as it's the same developer that's developing this tract and the single family homes next door. So we would ask for relief on the 50-foot buffer against the existing residential, seeing as how it's the same developer. But outside of that, if you'd like for me to, I've brought 5 copies. If y'all would like to look at them, just open it up for any questions.
Mr. Chairman.
I don't think we're in a position to carry out a study here during the meeting, but I think perhaps if you could leave them with Mr. Steins,
Okay.
we can review them later. So just for clarification, what is the response from SCDOT to the traffic study?
My understanding is that they concurred with the study from the traffic group.
But is that all we've got? Is your understanding?
That's all they ever do is just do a concurrence.
Doesn't seem very satisfactory to me. However,
Mr. Chairman. I do have a question as it relates to that same concept. I noticed in the detail it mentioned projected 5% increase in traffic over the next 3 years. Do I have an impact of understanding what the prior 3 years has been the net or the real gain in traffic in this area in the same respect? So that gives us an idea whether that is an understated 5% or we are actually capping a way above that. I don't know if we're even thinking in terms of the impact of traffic that will occur from a rail system that we are integrating in for moving cars at a higher volume for a Scott location for supplies. That will be a major element too for just the location of where that is. So the question still is on the table as it relates to the previous 3 years' true actual growth of traffic. Is that in correlation to what the expected 5% growth is what you guys have projected in that? You understand my question?
I think so. So typically when traffic studies are performed, as far as when you project out the growth, is they do look at the previous 5 years of historical data, AADT, average annual daily traffic data, throughout different DOT count stations throughout the area of where the project location is. And they look at those trends, and then they basically project that growth out over the next 5 years, is how that's typically done.
And so again, I think we would like to at least see the actual growth that occurred in the previous 5 years. Does that reflect 5%, or has it been something greater? We want to be able to know that, because I honestly don't feel, I think this whole group feels that it's been a greater amount than an actual 5% year over year.
So that data would be in the traffic study.
So that's what we want to be able to verify and confirm.
Yeah, that information would be the growth, the previous growth percentages, as well as into whatever the projections were, should be in the traffic study.
Okay, so we need to have the time to actually study that and have that reaffirmed, which seems to be
Appears to
above.
be more like 8% instead of 5%.
I mean, even considering that, since this study's taken place, there's also been an approval of another subdivision on North Wilson with 108 homes. That's going to contribute to that. That's the busiest intersection in the town of Blythewood. And there's not much we can do to improve that infrastructure now. So we're talking about at least, or maybe in many cases, 2 cars per home. That's 208 additional
So
vehicles in rush hour traffic in that intersection.
I have a question, maybe more for our staff. Traffic study mentions the restriping of Main Street, so you have a dedicated right-hand turn lane on the Langford Road. Is that going to happen, and when?
Yeah, that has started. You may or may not have seen the utility pole relocation going on 3 weeks ago. That's the start of that, and then there's the new stoplights hanging with the bags on them. So that is the start of that project there. I can't speak to why that's been so delayed, but it has been a significant delay, and we've really been challenging SCDOT and Great Southern Homes to get those improvements in place, but they have started. There's been a stall of, I was thinking it would be fairly systematic once they kind of got going, but I'm assuming they'll be back to kind of do the grinding and restriping here hopefully soon. I haven't been given an update in the last few weeks.
Yeah. Commissioners also want you to consider that those improvements are for or to aid the existing traffic condition, not considering these new developments that we're talking about adding, and they're not fixes. It's just going to aid it and reduce the stall times that are already there in traffic. It's not going to make them go away.
Understood.
Okay, can I draw your attention to the conditional requirements on page 5? After that, we just have a mass of data that really is hard to understand or interpret. But if I can just briefly go through them, the following are mitigation
Malcolm, I am sorry to interrupt, but I've got it pulled up here.
Oh, there you go.
As I told the commissioners, there is a packet of the study there, but with it being 200 pages, I only got one, and I know some of you did bring your laptops and iPads, so for those that do not have it, there's a hard copy floating around somewhere, and then I've got it pulled up to page 5 here as well. So,
Good. I think that's the key to it all, so I would respectfully ask for your comments on each of those items, whether you accept them, what the timeframes are, when are they going to happen?
Yes, I mean, everything, all of these special conditions, obviously the first one, the Langford Road access to be a restricted access, I mean, that will go in when the development is constructed. The traffic signal, the right turn lane, and the warning signing. The other three are kind of, so the access to this is on Langford Road. There's also an access in through Blythewood Farms as well.
Right.
So folks that are making a left on the Langford Road will go through Blythewood Farms to get there. And therefore, a lot of these are in conjunction with the Blythewood Farms, and this was studied in conjunction with both of them. So the traffic generated here was added to the Blythewood Farms study to rerun the analysis to ensure that these were still the appropriate mitigation, and they're all agreed. They're all been accepted.
So what's your feelings on right in, right out requirements for the main access onto Langford Road, because everybody will want to go left. So they'll be turning around in Langford Road at the earliest, soonest opportunity, and heaven knows what kind of chaos that could cause.
When lately we've been doing right in, right outs, the DOT has design elements that will, with concrete medians, that will eliminate that, those left turn movements.
Well, how far will those run?
I'm sorry?
How far will those run, the concrete median? They'll go down to the school and turn around there, given a chance.
Well, that's determined by the DOT during the design process. That's, at this point, this sketch plan which we're at is preliminary in nature. A lot of design goes into play after this level, where a lot of that is worked out with the governing agencies. Again, the sketch plan approval that's done at Planning Commission is we still got to get DOT encroachment permit approval. They go through their process and their review. Richland County Stormwater still goes through their review. Water and Sewer still goes through their review. So there are a ton of design elements that can't be worked through until you actually get into the design aspect of the project.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, if I may, Josh, just a point of clarity for me. When you got approved last year, y'all didn't start any of that process?
No, we did start the process, which we were ready to submit, which is when we found out the COA there was a 1-year clause on the COA.
In my opinion, and a welcome input from my commissioner colleagues here, I don't think we're ready to make a decision on this proposal yet. I really don't. But Mr. Taylor.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to deny the subdivision's request to construct those 104 single-family attached residences at this time.
A second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say, oh no, let me rephrase that. Would you call the roll, Mr. Wilson?
Voting on action item, the 104 townhomes. Marcus Taylor?
No.
Travis Smith? Bill Tomes?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So the motion was to deny. So
Yeah.
is it yes in favor of the motion or?
So the motion is to deny, and we're asking the commissioners if you agree with the motion presented, which is to deny it, or not. So saying yes is saying, right. So, and Daniel, am I correct with that?
Yes.
Yes.
A yes vote would be a no to the development.
Got it.
So I will Marcus Taylor. Yes on the denial. Travis Smith. Yes. Bill Tomes. Malcolm Gorge.
Yes on the denial.
Jamal Mosley.
Yes, I am in agreement with the denial.
Nikki Schaffner.
I also agree with the denial.
The motion carries 6-0.
I guess not.
Are there any, that concludes the action item. So were there any open citizen comments? I can't imagine there were.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is just you?
Mike.
You may, right, and you're more than welcome.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you for coming.
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Jeff Taylor, by the way. I live off of Langford Road. Yes, sir. I'll sign it as soon as I'm. Sure. I want to thank y'all for denying that. I don't know how many of you live off of Langford Road. I do, and I've been to several meetings and I've brought this up in the past. Matter of fact, I don't know if you saw. I used to work for OSHA. I have an OSHA jacket, and then one of the meetings I came to, I wore it. And the next one, the lady at the front desk says, "Oh, you're the OSHA guy." So I made a point to make myself known. The point I'm trying to make is for those of us who live on Langford Road, and I greatly appreciate, I think, I'm afraid that the information on the traffic that they were looking at was at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yes.
I have gone on Langford Road at 8 o'clock in the morning, and the traffic is backed up heading into town almost all the way to the school.
Right.
Yes.
And I think the problems that we got to fix that before we start building again. That's my opinion. I'm more than happy to share my opinion with these things, but I'm thankful that y'all took the look at that. To have a one-way turn in and out of there, people are going to drive over those medians.
Absolutely.
Or they're going to, and I've seen them in the morning, pull into Blythewood Farms, drive through Blythewood Farms, and jump back on to take a left turn to skip traffic, which backs up coming the other way because they'll park halfway through. So please, in the future, if you do look at something else being built, keep an eye on that and a mind on that. We still have that nasty intersection we got to fix, which it backs up traffic before we even get to people coming out of those houses. So I thank you again for acknowledging that. I do think that they did a traffic study. I'm just wondering if there's been so much more development and so many more new houses put in since that traffic study's been done, that that's not old data, or having worked in the government for so long, garbage in, garbage out.
That's right.
So, but I thank you. I'll fill this out and I'll turn it. Since I did send this out to my neighbors to come too. I don't know why none of them showed up. Maybe it's because it's always 6 o'clock at night and everybody's just getting home from work. Right.
You can send them the YouTube footage of you standing up for your area.
Hey, you know, it's difficult because I've only been in town for a year and a half. I love Blythewood. It's a nice little town, but we can't go the other way through Hardscrabble because that's a mess.
Yeah.
And in the mornings, we hit the traffic coming in, and in the afternoons going out. I mean, it's been backed up coming the other way, all the way to Scotty's.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, the traffic in and out of this town is not designed for what it has.
Yeah.
I've lived in big cities. I've lived in, you know, everywhere from Chicago to Hartford, Connecticut to Norfolk, Virginia, and Norfolk and Virginia Beach exploded in population, and they're dealing with the same thing all the time, is the town's growth is outgrowing the infrastructure.
Absolutely.
You know, since y'all are in the Planning Commission, I will tell you, I live for pretty good ways out on Langford. Water pressure is going to be an issue. It's already an issue for me, and that's not even your roads. You know, I've been complaining about infrastructure since I got here. Roads, power, internet, water, sewer. Somebody mentioned garbage pickup for that place. I mean, if you call the people at the garbage collection, I call the Richland County a lot because they skip us.
Yeah.
Because there's so many developments out there. Mail delivery. I mean, I worked for the post office for a while. I know what they're up against, but when I'm getting my mail at 8 o'clock at night because they don't have enough people because it's so much development and they can't keep up with it, pretty soon this little post office isn't going to be big enough to handle this town. So now you're going to be looking at more building for that and getting people in and out of the post office. I mean, let's be realistic. Somebody gets their mail, however few of us get mail still. You know, they're going to be looking at that as they're driving. They're not going to be paying attention. You're going to have more accidents too. So I appreciate, once again, I wanted to make sure I let y'all know that I appreciate you, especially Mr. Taylor, standing up and actually getting that out there, because I honestly am afraid that we're going to have so many people doing, as the chairman said, U-turns where they're not supposed to be. I was listening, I promise. Doing U-turns where they're not supposed to be doing U-turns. We're going to have a lot of accidents on that road.
Absolutely.
So, and we already have drainage issues. I don't know what they were thinking adding to a pond that was, you know, already people in Blythewood Farms are complaining about flooding when there's a lot of rain. So, I don't know. Maybe I've been here a year and a half, but I do pay attention to my neighbors.
You clearly do.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that.
We appreciate it, Mr.
Thank
Taylor.
you. I'm done.
Thank you.
So that concludes our business for this evening, so call for a motion. to
Make a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn meeting.
Second.
A motion and adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you all.